Hello, friends. I just recently got Kurt Cobain's notebook, book, his writings and his drawings and his input and his own personal stuff that his afterlife corporation took upon themselves to put out. Kurt Cobain, he's a is probably one of the most special people in my life because I go back through all the people, the icons, the idols of my entire life, and I have a lot of them. I know people that I admire, alive and gone, and I look back always to the story and the life of Kurt Cobain. And for mental health, Kurt Cobain is a perfect example, in my opinion. For those that don't know who Kurt Cobain is, Nirvana lead singer, early 90s, suicide, 94. Very short career in his musical brilliance. And there's a lot of strange things about his life. I'm going to talk about those things. I don't think I'll talk about the book. Maybe I'll talk about it later. I haven't looked through it yet. It's just sitting in my lap. I'm just looking at it. It's it's cool. They have it's a hardcover, and it has the absolute untouched, unscathed. It hasn't been photoshopped over. It hasn't been anything. It's the actual Mead notebook print, front and back. So if you're interested, look on Amazon or whatever. Check it out. Look at the front and the back. I might be able to pull it in here a little bit. I don't know if the light's gonna catch that. Whatever. It's a big book. I went ahead and picked this up because I'm interested. I want to know what kind of things he was writing down because it is intimate. Absolutely. It the thing about Courtney Love, she she's displayed things in a way, afterwards the things that he did. She's displayed it in a way that was somewhat pure, kind of. I'm looking at this book here. There's no title to it or any of that. It's very strange. I'm looking at the notebook here, and of course, the all the pages on the inside are edited. It's not it's not 100% pure. I mean, it's still page page for page on every single thing that's in here is exactly how he. I, I I think what I mean by edited is it's not the fucking notebook. I mean, we're talking it's page for page is his basically scanned his notebooks of his ideas of his. It's incredible. This is a gem sitting here in front of me. It's a fucking gem. It's amazing because the guy went from having little scribbles where he was talking about. I think I read something in here where he was talking about how he was putting janitor plans together, where he was going to put a company together. And directly a couple months later, his Nirvana situation shot up, And right here on the back, he's got a Sharpie marker on the back where he's messing around with band names. Here's one at the top that he scribbled out. The products of. So he was thinking of band names, the products of. And then in real bold, super, super bold, Nirvana. It hit him. He knew that was his. That was going to be the band name. Right, right underneath it says here, scratch writing, sprinkle garlic salt, rub flour. He's just writing down random things here. Sony 10p, whatever. He's pricing something. He's buying something because over here he's got cassette tapes, camera department, reward if found, K. Cobain, ketchup, Coke, Worcestershire. There you go. So he's got some kind of recipe he's putting on the fucking back of his notebook. Underneath this, maybe I can get that in there. Can you kind of? Yeah, maybe somewhere there. Yeah, check it. Nirvana. Look how big he put that. And then maybe you can get a little bit of that, the little scribble scratch there. And this is on the outside of his notebook here. I don't know. I think at the forward they're talking a little bit about how this is numerous books, possibly. Let me look here. Here he says this was, 2002. Man, I was thinking it was later than that they put that out. I was thinking 2005 or whatever. 2002 they put it out. Maybe it was about 2005 I was looking at it at Barnes & Noble. I didn't get it then. Yeah, of course there's all the not to be reproduced, blah, blah, blah. Kurt Cobain, 1967 and 1994. That was his lifespan. Cobain, Kurt, 1967 and 1994 diaries. Rock musicians, United States diaries. What the fuck does that mean? Okay. All right. Printed in the United States. Copyright 2002 by the End of Music, LLC. And this is the very first thing they put in there that they scanned is the front page or whatever. Don't read my diary when I'm gone. So he's already said, hey, this is my private stuff. Don't put it in there. Okay, well, they did it anyways. So much for your will. Okay, I'm going to work now. When you wake up this morning, please read my diary. Contradicting his own shit. Interesting. Look through my things and figure me out. It's pretty interesting. As if he almost kind of had it all mapped out that he was going to do himself and everything else, man. Very strange. Very strange book. I remember when they said that they were going to do this a long, long time ago, and I remember thinking, fuck, that's really crazy, man. I'm going to have to check that out. It amazes me that I didn't pick it up until now. I got this used on eBay. Dale, count how many times I use the word fuck. And you might want to do that with me too. Hello, it's me saying everything is basically raining, dull, and okay. Fuck. We're this close to coming down to see the Melvins play on the 29th As history repeats itself, Shelley, being the overbearing dominator of Chris, his bass player, or the bass player, decided to not want to go at the last minute. And so gas money has been split only two ways between Tracy and I. Would be too fucking expensive. Are you coming to settle someday to play? You, and this is all caps, you motherfuckers better still play Vile Vermilion Vacancy, or at least put it on the next LP. So he's talking about Melvin's, and these are his local buddies in his from his small hometown. They're still around. Check them out, Melvin's. Any label interest yet? That's interesting. This is a diary. It's kind of like he's talking to someone else and then he's talking to himself. Very strange. Maybe he wrote this to someone, I don't know. Alchemy seems to be in pretty sorry shape from what I hear. Maybe a band. Ever Rat Subcore. Dale Portnow. Dehumanizers. The reason I say this is because they must be hard up, for they signed Danger Mouse. Caps. Jesus fucking Christ Almighty. This is the first thing basically in this whole book. So within the last couple of months, our demo has been printed, recorded, and discussed between all the Seattle scene, caps, high caps, luminaries, and the dude Jonathan Ponman. Remember the guy who called me when you were over the last day? Mr. Big. That was a big band back then, Mr. Big. I don't know, maybe Money Inheritance. Right hand man of Bruce Pavitt. You know, it sounds like he's really musical, political. This is a guy is going deep in. He's already. Keep in mind though too. This is probably around. I think this notebooks are closer to just before Nevermind came out. So a lot of these are going to be before his breakout, when he had time to actually contemplate things. So they had the album Bleach in I think 88 or 89, and then Nevermind came out in 91. I think at the end of 91, I think. So, and also Sub Pop Records, which they were signed to at the time. Sub Pop Sunday, big deal. I think he meant that it was a big deal. I guess hype and regularly being played on the KCMU probably helped. The amount of people who come to judge us, keep that in mind, not be at a bar, get drunk, watch some bands and have fun. Just watch the showcase event. 1 hour. There was a representative from every Seattle band there just watching. So, you know, he knew it. He knew that he was a prospect. He knew he was hot shit. And, you know, his attention to certain things really comes through in that first page. That first, yeah, page number 1 of his. I think this is 300 something 60. What's this? 279. About 279 pages of all of everything that. Not everything. A lot of his scratch drawings. Here's random page 87. I think that's some lyrics, aneurysm from his. I think that's on Bleach or an Incesticide. I don't remember. Come on over and do the twist. Overdo it. Have a fit. Come on over. Shoot the shit. I love you so much, it makes me sick. She keeps it pumping straight to my heart. So interesting. It really is. Dude, this is incredible. You know, the guy just goes on and on and on. And then here's some. Here's something that looks like it was typed out. Some things are crossed and looks like he's going over things very meticulously, whatever it is. And it's very strange, different. It looks like he has different writing. I don't know if this is other people's stuff. Looks like his writing changes a little bit, which is odd. And the guy was. He was at least someone that I was definitely. He was real big to me when I was. At the time when he died, I was 13. And I'll never, ever, ever forget it. And some of the things that I contemplate about his life, I think about how he went through a whole lot real fast. I've looked at all kinds of aspects of his life. Of course, his final days, when I was younger, were the things that I thought about the most. I went over those things a lot. His final days. That was some of the things that I thought about, thinking, how many days was he in that room before they found him? And according to information, and a cable guy or an electrician came in and found him, and then that was that. Saw him through a window in his garden house. And for information, he was at a rehab center in Hollywood, down in LA, and then the information is that he hopped over the fence of the place, escaped. He was done with it. A lot of the people there said that he was distant, he wasn't really into it, which makes sense. And he hopped over the fence. He flew back to Seattle, and according to information, he was cut off by somehow, some way, his wife, Courtney Love, cut him off, and she was somehow, I don't know how the fuck she did this. She cut off maybe because she had some kind of, I know that with credit cards they have the thing where you can join. So she turned off all of this shit. Of course, he still has money. He can still pawn things or whatever. So things were closing in on the guy. On top of depression. And he already had his way out, waiting for him. So I think I watched something, and this is, he said, she said, the limo driver that took him to the airport before he went to rehab, Kurt had mistakenly still had the shotgun shells with him. And so he had to pay the limo driver a favor to go back to the house and just leave the shotgun shells on the front porch or whatever. You know, the guy was already done. A lot of pressure from his late wife that did real well from his talent. And that's something that's really bothered the shit out of me my whole life, is thinking about how he'd still be around if she was never there. And I don't know that for sure, even at the age that I am now, because I realize that mental health it's a matter of his depression was a hole that he was sinking into. And for some of us that are still alive, when we go through things, depression, and then we come out of it, then we can say, oh man, that was depression. How about that mental health where you are in that depression and you do not come out of it? Not to stir up anxiety for you that's going to happen to you. I'm saying this is probably very rare. And for those that go through that much depression, where it's extended, this is a situation where there's the apathy, where it's you don't care. And if you have that depression, you know what I'm talking about. You don't give a shit. You'll say certain things to people because you don't care. You'll do certain things because you don't care. It makes sense that if you're in that deep of depression, you don't care about using heroin. You don't care about what you do with certain aspects of your life. And saying that Kurt didn't care is not completely the situation, because according to information, he was getting into a lot of fights with Courtney about spending. And he didn't want to portray that kind of life. He didn't want to live that kind of life. BMWs, big houses. He just bought a big house. And he was going through a massive shift, at least. Not really a moral thing. He might have gotten used to it, as most stars do. He had a hang-up about that. He had a little couch that I saw that he auctioned. Okay. I'm talking about Kurt Cobain here. Can I? May I? Yes. May I, please? Napoleon has something he wants to say. You want to say something about Kurt Cobain? You know about him? Is he your buddy? Yes? Sasha? He's talking about his friend Sasha. Yeah? Okay, I'm going to continue. He had a couch, a recliner. It was haggard as hell. And as far as most people that knew him, he was basically just sitting in this couch. Had cigarette burns in it. He was just a simple kind of guy with a lot of musical talent. Not only did he have musical talent, he also conveyed real well. So whenever he was in front of the camera or whatever, he would talk about certain things. And you got to keep in mind, this guy's 24, 23, 24, 25, 26, when he's going through all these interviews or whatever. And still the apathy comes through. There's images of him holding I remember there's an image of a rifle that he's holding up. And he's holding it up with his this way, so it's further away, and they're smiling. Dave Grohl and Chris Novoselic are smiling about it, the whole thing. And here's this pretty morbid picture. The guy just didn't give a shit, and that's depression. And that's something you got to keep in mind. And that's the importance of mental health. And no one really has to stay in this life. You don't have to. If you have your reasons, you got to do what you got to do. Still, it's if you understand that the pitfall or the hole is basically a mental health situation, then there's a lot of angles to go about bringing yourself back up. I realize this more than ever at 41, and Kurt was 27. And I understand that there's a chronic thing about life where cancer or a lot of diseases that are going to take people's lives. Earlier, just a couple of days ago, there was a bodybuilder that died 29, and he used a lot of different stuff. He was very outspoken about it. His name is Boston Lloyd. He was an explorer, he was an adventurer, and he's gone now. And the reason I'm bringing him up is because in a lot of his interviews, he really came across as he didn't care. And I think he even said a couple times, I don't really care. I don't care if I die. I do what I do, and I don't care if I die. And that's, to me, that's depression. That's apathy. So after Kurt Cobain died, the unplugged MTV Unplugged cassette back then, we went to Best Buy with my friend, and it was an amazing album. And this is after he's gone, what he had done, and it's a very short span career, or popular career, from Nevermind up. So we're basically talking about 3 years here. And there was you could probably find it on YouTube. There's a video that he was editing and he was putting together, and it shows, to me, it's a Vertigo type thing where it's just over and over and over. He's in some kind of repetitive, some kind of rumination of different things that he experienced. So there's a lot of the media that's repeated over and over again. You can find it. Look for Nirvana, Kurt Cobain's video, or maybe that's not good. Maybe something about how a movie, Kurt Cobain's movie that he wanted or whatever. Basically, it's about an hour, 30 minutes. I don't remember. It's very strange how it's just repetitive. It's just showing things from a kind of a sickness of life. It's showing depression. It's showing his perspective. It's a way that the guy was conveying what he was going through. Because who the fuck is going to listen to him when everyone's wanting him to do well? That's a point too. When everyone's wanting you to do well, who the hell's going to listen to you? Who's going to listen to the things that are not good? That's negative. We can't have that. We can't have that. What is that? What did that do for that guy? Not a whole lot. No one's going to listen to your ass. This is doing good for you, Kurt. Make the money. Make this. No attention to his mental health. And his wife was young too. He was young. They were young. Did they know what the fuck was going on? Probably not. Did she care about the guy? Maybe. Probably, man. Maybe she did care about the guy. People have strange ways of how attraction can really bring them in. She might have been very attracted to his success. Still, there's not going to be any denying his mind, his talent. All these things are going to be attractive to someone that's really wanting that kind of attention in their life, or attachment. Let me put it that way. Media will put all kinds of bullshit out there, so you don't know. There's things talking about how his bandmates compared her to Yoko Ono from Beatles, and that could be a media ploy, so you just really don't know. And then afterwards they had the MTV thing where Dave Grohl went on stage with Courtney Love and they hugged and they made up, which was sweet. It happened to be at the very same moment that they were putting out his Nirvana's remastered, Nevermind remastered, whatever, with some extra tracks or whatever, which is disgusting. It's just not a coincidence, really. And there's the documentary from, I don't remember the guy's name, and he was talking about how Courtney Love had something to do with his ending. And I've seen videos where his aunt, who's also a musician, is talking about how there's just absolutely no way that's possible. Kurt was just depressed and he killed himself. And that's how there is to it. So the truth is, I guess it doesn't really matter. There was a lot of things happening for Kurt Cobain. He was going through a lot of wild things. He did a lot of pills in Rome, and he went for it, and it didn't go because he's important and special. They rushed his ass to hospital. They saved him. Not the same for my cousin. And it was maybe 2 months after that, I think it was. So he put out Nevermind, which I remember being 11 or whatever, watching Teen Spirit. Yeah. And I was pumped. I didn't have anyone telling me, "Oh, this is a good thing. This is a bad thing." I didn't have anyone. I didn't have my brother telling me this is stupid. I didn't have anything. I just was sitting there. I was watching MTV. Teen Spirit came on, and boom, I was on. And that's where it all started. And then maybe a year and a half later after that, there was In Utero. And if you listen to In Utero, it's kind of sloppy. I can sense, I can hear his brain going out, basically. Here's a person that has all this uplift, has all this, where a lot of people, they get that dopamine from their newborn fame, all that money they got, and then they're going to go up. Not this guy. It wasn't happening. And that looks like inner conflict. And so as far as the thing you can read about his last report, whatever, from you know who's, they said that he had a little heroin box next to him, and there was a Barks root beer, and they said that he was listening to his last album. I don't know how they would know that, if it was still on or whatever. And I don't know. That's where I get to thinking about how you're critical of yourself in depression. And you look at things and you say, ah, this is shit, and this is the not good enough thing, which is kind of strange in the way of thinking that's maybe what took the guy up. It's just he wasn't good enough. Something was the matter there. Something was and that's one of his lyrics in Nevermind, where he was talking about something's in the way. Something was in the way, always. And that's what's fucked up about the subconscious keeping secrets from you from your past. And he didn't get along with his family too well. He didn't get along with his mom too well. He had some issues with his father. And I saw certain media things portraying him, saying that he slept inside of hospital waiting rooms. He was crashing on couches, doing whatever he could to get through. So, any time you're ever thinking that it's the end for anyone that's going through major depression, and I'll put it that way, major depression, and I wouldn't say that I go through major depression. Because if I went through major depression, there wouldn't be certain things that I'd be doing. Anyone that's going through major depression, they'll contemplate how much that one individual, and this is maybe uplifting, how he supposedly he was living under a bridge, whatever, and probably here and there maybe might have found a nice spot in the summertime or whatever. The guy did quite a bit from the point where he left all the way up to the point where he had that Sub Pop with Bleach contract, up to eventually, I don't even remember who signed him for Nevermind. Thing is, whoever signed him for Nevermind knew that it was going to be the shit. And his mom, he brought the tape in. This is a validation thing. Love from his mother, acceptance from his mother, because mama's being hard on Kurt, which she was, according to media. He brought it in. This is her story from her own mouth. So I listened to this. You can find this somewhere. She talked about how he came in with a Nevermind cassette tape. This was before they released it. So this was Kurt Cobain's own private copy of his cassette tape that the record label already had before they released it. And she said once he put it in and started pushing play, what she said to him was, "This is big. Are you ready for this?" The first thing it was a fear thing. They're going to eat you up, basically. So she already instilled that in his ass. And she knew that he was going to be a star. She knew that he was hot shit. At the moment that she sat there and listened to that, Kurt got a lift off of that. I think about that. That validation that I'm something. I've been shit on. Here I am. I'm now something. Or at least that's the mindset of someone that's depressed. They could have gotten all the love that you can think of under the circumstance. And it just didn't matter because depression makes you think that everything is just a pile of shit. So to sum it all up, After everything, I think that Kurt Cobain was born with a brain that was going toward growing to being extremely depressed, and no fame, no love, no family, no friends, no riches that you have on top of all the millions of people sucking you off. I mean, a lot of people are going to think, if I had that many millions of people sucking me off, I would do this, this, and this, and this, and this. In his state of mind, in my opinion, he didn't have that. Because the depression was in the way. And so, the attention to understanding depression, if you have it, and you'll know you have it. You don't have to have someone. You don't have to pay someone $200 to tell you that you're a depressed person or that you're a moody person. When you are up against this darkness, think about everything that guy had, that he just accumulated. I mean, we're talking from in utero up to his death in April of '94. I don't know how many. I don't think it's maybe 6 months or whatever. It was fast. There was a lot crammed in. The guy was being pressured by money people. The guy was being pressured by people that were going to just throw his ass out. He was being pushed to the max. The same thing happened to Guns N' Roses. They were being pushed to the max, and they themselves had an image. So did Nirvana. So did that band. They had an image that they were portraying. And you gotta remember that there's people saying, "Oh, do this, do this, do this, do this," and it's gonna add to the pressure. There was absolutely no way that Kurt Cobain was gonna make it through that. Dave Grohl talks about that. He said, "I don't think he could handle fame the way I do." Yeah. Yeah, well, let's take Kurt's depression and just plop it right in your brain there, Dave. How far are you gonna go? The interesting thing is that after his Mentos commercial videos and the flying videos and all that, the dude had nothing. I don't want to dog the guy. He just doesn't. He didn't have anything after that. I don't know how much a man can do. If that all seriously came from Dave Grohl, brilliant, completely brilliant. All of his hits that he put together and the music videos and all that were amazing. And if that all seriously came from him, it didn't come from Kurt in any way. That's amazing. If it did come from Kurt, we'll never know how that came. Because Courtney Love, she had her couple of albums around Kurt's life that were pretty good. And anything beyond that, well, it didn't really go really well for her. Kind of same for Dave Grohl. And Kurt was, as far as media goes, was very helpful. And he was nurturing towards his friends and Courtney. He helped her out with the whole albums. So you just don't know. You just don't know actually what the truth is. The thing is, though, the guy is obvious. He was obviously very depressed. So I think the did someone else do him or whatever, basically look at his life, look at his lyrics, look at what he was doing. It points basically towards that. He would take his own life when he did. And it hurt my heart a lot because I remember my friend called me up and he said, this is when I just got off the bus, got through the front door, bring, bring. So he might have been trying to get a hold of me for fucking hours because this was big because he loved him too. Probably still does. He let me know, hey, have you heard? What? He's dead. I just started crying. Boom. That's how important that person was to me. And I never met him. I never talked to him. I never had anything to do with him. He just connected with me. There was so many things about the guy that had me in awe all the time. Listening to his lyrics, listening to the music, the energy that came through it, I'll never forget it. Never. A very special person. I've looked at a lot of artists. I've looked at a lot of painters. I've looked at a lot of different personalities. And Kurt, he came up from a lot of people that have done real well in media or art in any category usually come from a place where there's a wellspring. Kurt didn't have that. Kurt came from your suburban life. And that's as much as he did, and the impact that he had even afterwards, as big as it was, the guy was the way I put it at the very beginning of the video. He's a very important part of my life. He's a very specific person where I can attach depression to my own depression, where I can attach any kind of gain in life, this is important, to any kind of gain that I ever do in life. And what's the most important thing and what's the least important thing in my mind, in my flesh, that I'm sitting in right now. Because I always remember that guy had quite a bit going for him. And he still edited himself. So anytime that you think that this is what's going to make you better up here, it's not even going to be close to actually doing something for mental health. And that's the importance of information that can do something for mental health. That's the importance of conveying to others, so that way you can connect to each other on how to overcome in the flesh, as we are, and any kind of disagreement that you can have with each other or with yourself. You still understand that the importance of mental health carries you much further in feeling than what's portrayed to you through your upbringing. Because upbringing is going to tell you that cartoons and such, commercialism, is going to let you know that you're the popular kid because of this, or unpopular. You could get rich because you did this, or so and so defaulted on life because they were pitiful, Watch out for this. You don't want to do that. And the understanding is, what do I do with my brain? How do I make my brain better or good? Or what do I do for mental health period, my body, so that way I can live? And if you have serious depression, and you're asking yourself that, what do I got to do to live? What do I have to do to live? That's, to me, in my opinion, a very big part of that problem, that that equation inside of the brain where you there's a whole lot more to life than this wave, this ocean of dog shit that lays outside of your brain. And I really want to convey that this is important to me, because Kurt Cobain, his demise, his end to his life, and the way he lived his life has had a massive impact on my life. So this is a tribute to Kurt Cobain. Rest in peace.